Hello everyone, I'm Richard Watson and this is L'anglais the Easy Way. What happens if you feel stressed when you want to speak? What can you do about that? Well, the first one, it's something we've already talked about. It's about removing cognitive load. Often we feel stressed because we're trying to juggle too many things at the same time. We're concentrating on too many things. If you're trying to say something, so you have the idea of what you want to say, and then you need to think about all of the words you want to use, how to pronounce them, how to conjugate the tense, what order we put the words, etc., etc. It's too much to think about. You would never do that in your own language. And you can't actually think about what you want to say. You're too busy thinking about how to say it. So you're not actually doing the task that you want to do. So removing cognitive load, remember, comes from practice, comes from doing something enough times that you don't really need to think about it very much. Again, we have examples. People all know how to say, I don't know. They don't have to think about that expression. But people do have to think about, I don't agree. Because in French, it doesn't work the same. And that's interference from French. French and English often work in a similar way, but when they don't, it causes a kind of an interference, which makes it seem difficult, although it's no more difficult. I don't know, I don't agree, I don't go. All just as easy. So first, try and get rid of cognitive load through practice. There's a famous proverb or expression, I think it comes from martial arts, or I first heard it in martial arts. It says, we don't rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our training. What that means is things that you do again and again, and you can do when you want, even in a stressful situation you can do. We all know that. We all know how easy it is to do something you've done every day in your job. So that's the first thing. Get rid of cognitive load by practicing more. Yeah, I know I keep telling you that, but that's the bottom line. Practice more. The second thing that makes us stressed, I believe, is when we're trying to do better than our best. Could be someone trying to do a podcast and trying to do it better than he can. A musician trying to play better than they can, etc., etc. You can't do better than your best. You have to accept that fact and kind of accept the warts and the mess and the scrappy nature that sometimes we're not perfect, and nobody is. This idea of, I want to do something that I can't do, like I want to speak English with no mistakes, that doesn't work. I remember when I finally got a French teacher that I liked, because I had some terrible experiences trying to learn French. I remember I was so motivated to actually have a teacher who listened to me and I was so motivated and I really wanted to learn, especially to write French, that I said, every week I'm going to write a text for you in French and bring it to you at the beginning of each class. And I'm going to do two versions. First version, I'm trying to minimize my mistakes. I'm only going to use structures and words that I know. I'm going to try and produce a perfect text with no mistakes. Second version, I'm going to try and say it the way I would in English. Much more fantasy, trying different structures, things I'm not sure if they work, like expressions. I'm going to try them anyway. And to my dismay, every week my teacher would look at the two versions and ask me, which is the one with no mistakes? Because they were both full of mistakes. That's a true story, and I still remember that. If you don't know something, it doesn't matter how hard you try, you can't do it. And if you do know it, generally it's easy. So trying to do better than your best is one of the things that causes us to be stressed. Where does that come from? Well, it's because we're trying to live up to a story that we've created about ourselves. And you can't. You have to be yourself. Again, authenticity rings true. Humans are very, very good at detecting authenticity in people. We pick up micro expressions on people's faces. We know when people are lying or when they're hiding something. We're very, very good. And we respond very well to authenticity. So be yourself, be authentic, including with mistakes, including with your doubts. It's okay to say you don't know how to say something or don't know how to do something. Just get it out there and it's not that bad. Also remember that we tend to judge ourselves very harshly. No one else is judging you. Basically, you could almost say, nobody cares about you as much as you care about yourself. We always think everyone's looking at us when we do something. They're not. They're generally thinking of themselves, I believe. It's the same for music. If you try to play an instrument, you're a much harsher judge of yourself than anybody listening. You hear your mistakes, you're not satisfied. They don't. They're just enjoying the music. Language is the same. So remember, Stress leaves with practice. If you want to take a simple example of how we actually build up these kind of skills, imagine we decide to learn ping pong, and you go to a ping pong club for the first time. Drawing a parallel with English, imagine if they told you for the first month you're not allowed to actually pick up a racket, you have to study the grammar of ping pong, calculation of friction and spin, trajectory. Nobody would do that. We know that's not how you learn ping pong. How do you learn ping pong? You hit the ball. How many times? 50,000. That's how you get good at ping pong. And people would say, yeah, but I'm terrible at ping pong. Every time I hit the ball, it's not good. Yep, but it's still the path. That path of mistakes from where you are now to where you want to get to, that is your only path. And that is your practice. Stress leaves you with that practice. Do something thousands of times or hundreds of times, you get good at it. And then you have this idea of a comfort zone. I'm sure many people have heard of the comfort zone. It's true that you can extend or stretch your comfort zone by doing things you're not comfortable with. In language, that could be speaking to people more often. It could be trying structures or tenses or models of structures that you've never used before. It could be that. Don't forget that if you stretch your comfort zone too far, if you go too far out of your comfort zone, you get to what we call the panic zone, and you don't really want to be there. That's not productive at all. So stretch your comfort zone, step outside it, get comfortable being uncomfortable, as they say in English. That's a good place to live in language. Anyway, that's enough for today. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.